Are you guys ready? All right, so we got a long way to go, a short time to get there. We are going through the entire book of Job today. If you're a visitor, don't sweat. I'm going to help narrate our way through it. But before we can get into it, we're talking about the thorns that are around us that we've got to navigate with. And sometimes you've got thorns that you can't control. We're going to dig into that today. Sometimes thorns are put in our life for a reason. And we're going to learn about that today. But we got to start this off. I'm going to give you a little story to help set the mood so that you can be with me, okay? So everybody go into your imagination mode where you can see this with me. This is a fictional story. This is just to help us get our heads together, okay? Long time ago, in a land far, far away, there was a land called Happy Valley. In Happy Valley, there was a man. This man had a beautiful horse, lovely horse. This horse was his best friend. His favorite activity was going with his beautiful horse for a walk in the country. He didn't even ride the horse because he loved this horse, and they were best friends. One day, they had gone on a long walk. It had been wonderful, and he decided he wanted to go in and take a nap, but he wanted his wonderful horse to be able to stay outside and enjoy the beautiful weather. So he ties the horse up to a fence post, and he goes inside and takes his nap while his horse gets to enjoy the weather. While he's inside, though, darkness started to cover the skies. Everything turned gloomy. And the devil came. And the devil slowly made his way up towards the horse. And the horse began to fear. And the horse felt the tension as the devil got ever so close and reached out his nasty, creepy hand towards the horse's bridle. And the horse wanted to win. He wanted to neigh, but nothing would come out. And as his hand got ever closer, he just simply unhooked the bridle and let the horse go, and he was gone. And with that moment, the sky began to brighten, everything began to come clear, and the little horsey went trotting off down the street. As the horse trotted down the street, enjoying itself in this beautiful sunshine, it came across a farm. The local farmer right down the road had his harvest ready for the year, and the horsey looked out and saw all the beautiful vegetables that were growing, all the crops, and the horse loved the feeling of it trotted through this garden, stomping down all the vegetation, eating the buffet that was before it, and the horse was having a great time. But the farmer, who had been counting on this crop, looks outside and sees this horse destroying his field, and he grabs his shotgun and runs outside and bam! Shoots the horse. He unalived it right there. As he realizes what he's done, as he goes to look at the culprit that has destroyed his harvest that he was counting on, the gunshot woke the horse owner up, who rises from his bed, looks outside, and the horse is gone, and he runs down the road where the shot came from, and he finds his beautiful horse dead, and the farmer, filled with rage over what has happened, standing over him. The farmer begins to realize what he's done, but it's too late, and the horse owner reacts out of anger, rage, and retribution, and he attacks the farmer and kills him too. Now, while this is happening, the farmer's wife is deeply concerned about what's happened to her husband, and she screams out. Now the horse owner is concerned, and he runs to the barn where the farmer's wife is, and he wants to check on her and explain what happened and why. And as he does, little does he know that she is actually Lizzie Borden, and she pulls out an axe and she kills the horse owner right there in the barn. 40 whacks. As she kills him and leaves him slumped over on a bale of hay, the horse owner's son gets home from school and realizes, my dad's gone, the horse is gone, and he runs to the neighbor's house to see what happened, and there's a dead horse, there's a dead farmer. Oh no, and he hears the scream from the barn, and he runs to the barn, and inside he finds Lizzie Borden in action, his dead dad, and he's overcome with rage. It all just boils out. He doesn't even understand why, but him and the farmer's wife begin to fight, and then she gets killed by him. And in this moment, the boy is filled with inconsolable rage because he's lost everything in his life that mattered to him. And someone tells the other villagers what was taking place between these two houses. The villagers find out what's going on, and they rush to the house of this young man, and they begin as a mob to burn his house down in retribution to make sure this never happens again. The young boy is inconsolable. He's lost everything, and now he no longer has a home. And so he cries out to the devil, and he says, "You You made everyone do all of this. You were the one that made me kill her. You were the one made her kill my dad, made my dad kill the farmer. And the devil calmly sat back, looked at the young man and all the people of Happy Valley and said, good citizens of Happy Valley, I don't know why you're mad at me. All I did was let the horse go free. Y'all with me right now? A lot of times we blame the devil when the devil's smart enough just to set in motion one chain of event to let our fears and stuff run wild. So today, we're going to dig into this to see if we can understand a little bit better. There are two types of thorns that are in your life. Two types of thorns that you're going to face continually. One is the one you didn't bring it on yourself, but you have the power to remove it. The other is the ones that for some reason you have no control over it, and you've got to learn how to endure it. So let's look at this. There was a thorn in Jesus' life, and he was there from the very beginning of Jesus' ministry. And Jesus would say things like this in Scripture. He would talk to his disciples, and he would say, all of you are going to struggle, but one of you is a devil. And it would say, because he knew from the beginning which one would betray him. He would look at his disciples and say, all of you will fall away of you, but woe to the one who betrays the Son of Man, knowing which of his disciples were going to betray him. He dealt with this thorn, but John's gospel tells us that he loved him to the end. And so the last night when this disciple named Judas was going to betray Jesus, Jesus looks at them and washes their feet in love. And then after the supper, he takes the Lord's Supper, the bread and the wine, and he says, this is my body that's broken for you. Do this to remember me, to remember my love for you, what I'm willing to go through for you. And in John 13:17, Judas takes the bread. He's willing to take of this covenant with God while corruption's in his heart. And it says, as soon as Judas took the bread, now in this moment, he has a choice. But in this moment, he takes the bread. It says, Satan entered into him, and Jesus told him, and this is something that's a very powerful word. What you're about to do quickly. Have you ever been in a moment like that? To where you've just walked through something again and again, and it's a pain, and we've talked about those thorns that are in there, they're stuck, and unless we're willing to go through one big pain to get it out, we're going to continue going through this. And so Jesus says something that I think is very powerful for Christians, to call it out. We know what's going on here. We're not playing gaslighting games. If you're going to do something, just get it over with. And Judas does. But Jesus can now focus on his other disciples. I want to share with you, there are going to be thorns in your life that the hardest part of your life is having to acknowledge this is not healing. And I am not God. I can't fix it, and I can't fix it for you. But what I can do is I can call it out and say, this isn't working. Go fix it yourself. All right, the other type of thorn, this is the heavy type of thorn, and it's going to show up in the book of Job. We're going to learn about this and how we deal with it. This is the thorn that even if you call it out, it doesn't want to go away. Have you ever had a pain in your life, something that's so embedded, and you're like, God, help me with this, take this away, and it feels like even God's not giving you answers? There was a man named Job. And this man was such a good man. He was able to make offerings for other people. If he thought there was a chance they could have sinned, he prayed for them. He helped his community. And in this, he was extremely blessed. So the first thing I want you to realize is blessings are not the sign of righteousness. Are y'all with me right now? Just because a person's wealthy, that doesn't mean God's favor is on them because of their righteousness. Are y'all there right now? All right. It doesn't mean he's against them. It doesn't mean they're bad. They can be a great person and have plenty, but it can be a weakness. And so one day, Job chapter 1, verse 6, the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came with them. Now, Job's very confusing to a lot of people, and it's been taught a lot of ways, but we're going to read it like detectives today that are understanding. Are y'all with me right now? The Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? God knows exactly where Satan has come from. We know what Satan's been doing ever since Genesis because he's been leading people into sin. He's been tempting people. The Bible says he was the accuser that stood before the throne night and day. And the Lord says to him, where have you come from? And here's Satan's response: from roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it. Let me give you a little insight of what he means. I've been in your creation, putting my stank all over it. You know what I'm saying? Guys, it's like that guy that's always looking at your wife a little too long and then he wants to go out to coffee with her. No, sir. No, sir. You see what I'm saying? I've been all up in your creation. I've been putting my stank all up on all you got. And I want you to see God's response here. You consider my servant Job. Now, when I was young, I always heard this like from negative people, like God just threw Job out there, like he threw him to the wolves and just handed him over to Satan, so that there was like this challenge, like they were making like some kind of a Super Bowl wager on Job. And I want you to see this. God is staking his reputation on his creation. And what he's saying is, you may have been able to tempt some, but I see one man who has so much integrity, you've not been able to get him. Now, I want you to see, everybody's opinion in this life is going to be voiced at some point, but no opinion really matters except for God's. But Job doesn't know what's happening in heaven and doesn't hear what God says. Let's look at what God, the judge, says about Job. There's no one on earth like him. He's blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. You know what God just did? He just bragged. He just exalted. He just uplifted Job and said, my boy, that's my boy right there. I don't care what you've done in this world. That's my boy right there. You get your stank out there all you want, but he comes back smelling like roses and you smell like boo. Here's Satan's response. Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You bless the work of his hands so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. What's Satan saying here? Is it's easy for somebody to be faithful when everything's going right in their life. But now, stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely, underline this, curse you to your face. What the devil thinks he knows of people is that when people's blessings end, their devotion to God ends as well. What the devil just told God is, as long as you bless people, they love you, but the second you don't bless them and they start suffering, they'll turn against you. They'll curse you to your face. And here's God. Very well then. Everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself, you don't lay a finger. Don't you touch him. What did God just do? He just staked his reputation on his creation and said, I believe in Job that if Job were to lose everything, he would still be faithful. He's got integrity. Satan went out from there, from the presence of the Lord. Now I want you to see what happens here. In Job's life, in an instant, in a moment, messengers start coming to him. And what happens is the devil goes out against his possessions, and they come and they say, hey, raiders have come in and taken everything you've got. Now, the devil's not the raiders. He just gave them the opportunity. He just opened their eyes to something. Your wealth is gone. Your land has been destroyed. And then the messenger came and said, your children have died. Imagine having that day. Anybody here ever have a bad day? What I want to do is make sure you know, I'm not saying your day is not bad because Job's was so much worse. What I'm saying is, sometimes there are some really bad days in this fallen, broken world, but we don't know what's happening in heaven, and we don't understand, and we don't always get that picture. Job has no clue. And so here's what happens. Job gets up, he tears his robe, he shaves his head, and he falls to the ground in worship. It doesn't say anything's wrong with tearing your robe and getting upset because today was horrible. It doesn't say there's anything wrong with Job shaving his head and putting himself in a mourner's position. It never says you can't get in ashes and cry. It doesn't say you can't hurt. What it says is in the midst of this, when he falls down to his lowest point, He worships God in the lowest point. Listen to what he says. Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I'll depart. What he just says, God, you never owed me anything, but you gave me things. And anything you've given me, listen to this, the Lord gave and the Lord's taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. God, you're the source of my blessings. And if you want them, they're yours. How many of us, though, would the devil be chuckling right now because he'd be like, found that spot, found that stuff. Verse 22, in all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. Let me clarify. You can be upset, hurt, fearful, or worried that stuff has gone away. Don't blame God for it. Check this out. Satan goes back up into heaven, starts talking to God, and same thing, where are you coming from? All through the earth, I got my stank out there. And he says, have you considered my servant Job? There's no one on earth like him. He's blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. Again, what's God's testimony about Job? That's my boy right there. That's my boy right there. I don't care what you say. Look at my man. Check him out and listen to this part. And he maintains his integrity. Though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason. Here's what God just said. Job has integrity, although his life is ruined, and he did nothing wrong. His life isn't ruined because of something he did. It's ruined just because, and he still walks with integrity. This is heavy for us to get. But again, if Job could know what was going on in heaven, how much easier do you think it would be if God could come to Job and be like, Job, listen, buddy, I just want you to know, the devil believes that humans are just inherently evil and they're jacked up, and I got faith in you, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to let you walk through a tough season, but we're going to prove to him together that I don't have to protect you every second for you to be good. How many of y'all think if it was just kind of, hey, you're going to be homeless for a week, but at the end of that, I'm going to bless you back with more than you could ever imagine. How many of y'all would be homeless for a week? Some of y'all wouldn't? Y'all just be like, nah, I'm good right now. I need Netflix tonight. How many of y'all, seriously, how many of y'all would go broke right now for a week if you knew that at the end of the week you'd be a billionaire? Oh, I just needed to put a number on it, didn't I? You know who does negotiate with you like that? The devil gives you numbers. God just believes in people. Check this out. So I want you to see this. The devil says, skin for skin. A man will give all he has for his own life. Here's what the devil's saying. No, we took his stuff, but people give up stuff for their flesh all the time. People make decisions and ruin life for temporary gratifications all the time. If he could be healthy, he would trade everything for that anyway. So I'm telling you, skin for skin. But now stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and his bones, and he will surely curse you to your face. Do you see the challenge here? Mankind does not love you, God, like you love them. They won't endure suffering like you will for them. They won't go through that. They're not worth it, God. Your angels were worth it, God. Look how much better we are than those humans. And those humans will turn on you, God. Do you know that God even has someone try to put junk like that in his head? But God's got faith. He says, very well, he's in your hands, but you got to spare his life. I believe in Job. God just doubled down on his faith in a human. One of the things that I find most troublesome, everybody in this room's had a season where it feels like everything's falling apart, right? You're just like, God, I don't know why. It's not a sin to say, I don't know why. It's not a sin to say, God, why is this happening? It's not a sin to get upset. It's not a sin to ask questions. It's not a sin, okay? And what I want you to see is Job definitely asked questions. But one of the things we should first question is, if everything good in my life has been destroyed, what are the things still in my life? And why did they get left? If I really am under a persecution, why are some of these pieces left here? Now, I want you to think, there's another person in this equation. Job chapter 2, verse 7. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and afflicted Job with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. And Job took a piece of broken pottery and scraped himself as he sat among the ashes. Ooh. You imagine big old boils all over your body? just in there, hurting, infected, and the only thing you got's broken pottery. We won't talk about that. But there's somebody that wasn't taken out of Job's life. And his wife says to him, are you still maintaining your integrity? I want you to get this. Here's a key thing. What's at stake in this? It's integrity. How will you walk through each season of your life? And there is a time where when the whole world is upset and negative and you refuse to give up your integrity, you will offend the world. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. We see it every election cycle, right? There's the CNN crowd, there's the Fox crowd, MSNBC crowd, there's the whatever. We got it, man. There's Facebook, Instagram. We got people all out there. And we know this. When a frame of how to see other people is given, especially when that frame involves our own pain that we see people through, we start coming to a place to where if you can't be in the same pain I'm in, if you can't be as angry as I am, you must be against me. Curse God and die. How many of you have ever had somebody in your life that's just mad at God and they can't stand to see you walk with God? First thing, they're not your enemy. They are hurting. They are in agony. Sometimes it's hard to walk in integrity in your own pain and identify the pain of others, and it can come across as harsh. And we say some harsh things in the midst of our pain, don't we? Remember, we talked about when we're a victim, we make victims. She is hurting, and so when she looks at Job, she has to act out that pain. We'll talk about this next week. When you have thorns in your life and you start to produce thorns because your identity has become the pain. And I want you to see what she does. She says to him, curse God and die. Now this is, if we look at this, what would happen to Job if he cursed God and died? Well, the devil would be vindicated. Job would be cut off. And what hope does he have if the last thing he does is curses God and then he just dies? You know what she just said to him in a polished way? Go to hell, Job. Ever hear anybody say anything like that to you? Curse God and die. Here's Job's response. You can tell the tension's starting to build up. He's like, you're talking like a foolish woman. Woman, don't talk like that. Listen to what he says. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble? Listen, don't let your heart go there. Don't go to move in this space. Shall we accept good from God and not when there's trouble? Again, the final part of this verse, in all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Can we all agree right now, Job is killing it? He don't know what's going on. Can we all agree right now, Job is the man to walk through this kind of pain? Not that he doesn't hurt, not that he doesn't suffer, not that he doesn't have questions, not that he's not in agony. We're not saying Job doesn't get hurt and doesn't have weakness, but can we all say that Job has been able to walk like this with integrity? He's the man. And there's a reason God chose him. And the devil is eating it right now as he looks at Job. Now, the devil don't like to eat it for long, so he's going to intensify. The first thing he sends at him is his wife. How'd he get Adam in the beginning? Send the person closest to you. Now check this out. We all know, have you ever been in a situation where it's like, man, I could just use a friend right now? How many of y'all have ever had a situation where it's like, man, if I could just have a friend or three? And that, you ever notice friends always show up? Job's got 3 friends, man. The whole world is seeing what's happening to Job. And he's got 3 friends roll up. Their names is Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. Don't trust those names. They all sound like fortunes, right? They're like something you put a quarter in at a boardwalk and they'd be like, First dude walks up, his name is Eliphaz. Job 3:7, he says, consider now, Job has sat here I missed a whole part, we're gonna go back to it. Job chapter 2, verse 12. When his friends see him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads. Sounds like good friends, right? They sit with him for 7 days in silence while he suffers. Sounds like good friends. Or maybe people that love to be identified by your pain, and they got to come get in the ashes too. Just because someone is there, true friends triage the bleeding. Vampires keep it pumping out. A true friend wants to help you heal and move forward. There are some people that they love the pain so much, being in it and being the healer, that they'll keep opening the wound and you'll keep talking about it. And Job is very much bleeding. Here's what happens. Job chapter 3, verse 7, he starts speaking up and he starts saying, I don't know why this is happening. I've not done anything wrong. Now, let me make another clear line right here. If you've been out smoking crack and you get arrested by the cops and you get taken and your mug shots on the websites, don't sit there and say, I don't know why this is happening to me. God, I don't understand. I'm being persecuted for my faith. Let's all be smart enough not to be that person. But if you're walking through a season, and you may very well walk it, where you don't understand what's going on, learn from Job that it's okay to say, I don't understand what's going on. I've not done anything wrong. But I want you to see this. Here's his friend Eliphaz, these wise friends that show up and they're like, consider who being innocent has ever perished. Where were the upright ever destroyed? As I've observed, those who plow evil and those who sow trouble reap it. You know what he just said? Come on, Job. We know you've done something. Because people don't suffer that haven't done something wrong. That's not true. We get to read heaven's perspective. But how many of y'all grew up in a good old hellfire and brimstone church where people love to talk about people suffering and start pointing out, we know there's sin in their life, look at what's happening to them. God don't let bad things happen to good people. And so we got a whole world out there saying, I don't understand a God that lets bad things happen to good people because they've endured bad things. But they've heard people say, God, don't do that. And they're like, well, then I've endured it and I don't believe in your God. So this man's sitting there, he's like, Job, come on. We know something's happened. You can't be innocent. Here's his next friend, Bildad. Does God pervert justice? Does the Almighty pervert what is right? Listen how harsh he's defending God, and he's accusing Job through what he's saying, like you're saying God is perverting justice. When your children sinned against him, he gave them over to the penalty of their sin. What? My kids are dead and you're going to make it like they were vile to God and God struck them down? While making it seem like that's what God did? Anybody in here ever witnessed pain like that? Then his third friend, Job's been sitting here saying, but I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything. And he goes, are these words to go unanswered? Is this talker to be vindicated? Job was over here in his own little bubble of pain. Y'all came over, put your sackcloth and ashes on, sat down, and now you're mad at him and saying somebody's got to correct this guy. Will your idle talk reduce others to silence? Will no one rebuke you when you mock? Who's Job mocking? You say to God, my beliefs are flawless and I'm pure in your sight. Oh, how I wish that God would speak, that he would open his mouth against you. Can we all agree Job's got some major thorns right now? He's on his knees. And instead of someone coming over and saying, hey, buddy, how can we help? They think helping is kicking. Let's just beat him into the earth. Why? Why? Because we've seen other people fall and they had sin in their life. And we knew it was all show. Can't be that good, Job. I always knew something had to be wrong there, Job, and I got you. Job tells him, what you know, I also know. I'm not inferior to you, but I want to speak to God, to argue my case with God. You guys just smear me with lies. You're worthless physicians, all of you. If only you would be altogether silent. For you, that would be wisdom. And I want you to see this shift that happens. First, we're going to come into the place of Job, you must have sinned, just acknowledge you've sinned, till they start moving to this other place, and it's like, this is where the heart starts coming out. Job 15, verse 4. You undermine piety and hinder devotion to God. What? You're an embarrassment to the faith, Job. You cause other people to sin. Check out Bildad, 18:20. People of the West are appalled at his fate. Those of the East are seized with horror. Surely such is the dwelling of an evil man. Such is the place of one who does not know God. You know what he just said? People talking about you from the East to the West. Well, how do the people from the East to the West know, brother? Who's been going and talking to all them? Right now, I want you, Job ain't left where he's at. Here's what he's saying. Everybody's talking about you, and they all agree with me. Job chapter 20, verse 18 through 20, Zophar starts speaking and he just starts saying, and I'm going to summarize this. You had wealth and reputation, but now you don't. We knew you weren't as good as you looked. Can we all agree right now, my man Job is getting both barrels? Can we all agree my man Job has done nothing wrong? But we're not seeing heaven's perspective right now. We're seeing what happens on earth when we've had jealousy in our heart and we see somebody fall that has made us maybe feel insecure at some point. Job starts speaking in Job chapter 16, and he tells them, man, I've heard a lot of things like this, and you guys are really bad friends. You guys are horrible at comforting somebody. All of you are. Like, none of you should do this for a living. Will your long-winded speeches ever end? Will you ever stop talking? Like, what makes you want to argue so much? And then he says this, I could speak like you if I were in your place. I can make fine speeches against you and shake my head, but my mouth would encourage you. Comfort would come to bring you relief. What he's saying is this, if you were in my shoes, man, and you knew what I knew, you would want peace. I just need somebody that's going to be here for me right now, not be at me right now. And then this shift happens again. They move from a place of false accusations, and it really stirs up the motive of their heart, and now they're lying on him. And here's what Eliphaz says, it's for piety he rebukes you and brings charges against you. You know what he just said? It's time for you to come down a peg. Be humble. Sit down. Be humble. Sit down. Job's like, I wanted to squattle up. Like 5 people are gonna get that. But we're stuck in this situation where it's like, here's the heart. We've been tired of seeing you on a pedestal, Job. Own it, brother. And then he says, is there not wickedness great in you? Are not your sins endless? You demand security. And here's what he goes through. You cheat your family. You cheat people out of clothing. You cheat people that are hungry. You cheat people that are thirsty. You cheat people that need land. You steal from people. You hurt widows. You hurt orphans. What did God say about Job? Did Job do any of these things? I want you to see how our hearts go. When we get the frame right, and we get to a place to where we believe someone is bad, it doesn't take much for the mob to shift to accusations, and people are like, yeah, that's right. They're cheats, they're thieves, they're stealers. Check this out. And they go back and back and back. And Job makes the biggest mistake of his life in this argument. At some point, Job's been saying, hey, you guys are bad at this, but Job should have said, would you guys just leave me? But have you ever noticed sometimes in pain, it's easier to let people around you that are hurting you than to be alone? Have you ever noticed? And so this is that thing that's gaslighting. I'm so desperate not to be alone right now that I'll actually let people abuse me while they're with me. And at some point I start owning it. Now, instead of being able to see that you guys are now lying on me, Job moves to an act of desperation, needing approval by them. And he starts trying to defend himself. And he starts saying, whoever heard me spoke well of me. And those who saw me commended me because I rescued the poor who cried for help and the fatherless. Job should stop. But in this moment, we don't think through because we're so surrounded by thorns. All we want to do is make the hurting stop. Like, please, 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 please. It's coming from all sides. Let me tell you a great lesson in life. When people have got to the place they'll make false accusations about you, you will say nothing that will ever change their mind. Let me show you Jesus. When they made false accusations about him, it says he remained silent and did not speak. As a sheep goes before the shearers and a lamb before the slaughter, he was silent. Why? Because he knew. I can't change your mind. It's already set. I'll show you by my actions. But Job doesn't do that. Job leans into, I need you to believe me. Job chapter 21, verse 24, he says, how can you console me with your nonsense? Nothing is left for you but answers and falsehood. Now, I want to say this. What made these men think they had the right to attack Job like this? They've already said they've seen it in other people, so they know it's true. But can I share with you something that I think is very real in our world today? Something that's very real. Can I just show you something? And I want you to see this, and I want you to see at what moment it clicks. Here's going back to chapter 4, verse 12. Here's Eliphaz, and he says, "A word was secretly brought to me. My ears caught a whisper of it amid disquieting dreams in the night when deep sleep falls on people." Now, I want you to see this. He comes from Teman, the land of scholars, the land of wise people. That's why he's been sent. And he's here, and these are supposed to be holy men. And he says, "Fear and trembling seized me and made all my bones shake. A spirit glided past my face, and the hair on my body stood on end. It stopped, but I could not tell what it was. A form stood before my eyes, and I heard a hushed voice." I don't know about y'all, but the whole build-up to this doesn't make me think it's too holy, whatever came to see him. But I want you to hear what it says. Can a mortal be more righteous than God? Did Job ever claim to be more righteous than God? Can even a strong man be more pure than his maker? Listen to what it goes on to say. If God judges his angels and holds them in contempt, how much more those who are made of clay? Let's go back to the beginning. They'll turn against you, God. They're all about stuff. They're all about flesh. They'll turn against you, God. And God's like, no, they won't. Yes, they will. Now, a spirit has come to this man, and what's this spirit doing? Intimidating him? There's no case in the Bible where we see an angel belittles human beings and says, can a mortal be more righteous than God? If God would judge his angels and not you, how much more do you think's coming to you, you mere people of dirt? Where do you ever see an angel in Scripture or the Spirit in Scripture belittle people like that? They're God's creation. But yet he's convinced because the Spirit told him. Oh, y'all didn't hit it yet? How many people have gone to a broken person and pushed them down further into the dirt because the Spirit told me to come tell you something? If it's the Spirit of God, it will come from God's Word. I don't want to hear from you about what spirit you've been talking to. I want to hear from the living God about what He has to say about it. Because in heaven right now, God's saying He's blameless, He's upright, He's faithful, and there's no one like Him. I don't want to hear from no messengers of no spirits that got messages from me that think I'm nothing but dirt when God looks at me and sees His image. Are you with me yet? All right, we got to roll. We're out of time. Here we go. Let's move on in this. We got to be careful when people come in the name of the Spirit and the Spirit doesn't line up with what the Spirit wrote down for us to know. God's words are always what's going to give us. And so what I want you to see is there's this shift that starts happening with Job. And Job is saying, he said this one thing the whole time. If only I could talk to God. If only I could talk to God. In Job chapter 9, he looks back and he's like, I'm just a man. I'm just a human. God surely don't hear me. If there was a mediator that could be between me and God, and let me tell you something, that mediator was coming and his name is Jesus because the accuser is no longer at the throne. When Jesus was born, he was cast down, and now there's one since the ascension that says he stands there and he advocates for us, okay? I just want you to see this. Job is longing for something, saying, I want somebody to talk to God for me because I can't do it. And so Job is wasting all his energy talking to people about God, and he's thinking God's not with him because of his suffering. He's got one friend that steps up. Job starts saying, God's got more in store for me. There's pain for me. I'm suffering, and I don't understand why, but God must have turned against me. Because I'm hurting, God must not be with me. And he's got this one friend, Elihu, and Elihu steps up, and he's this young guy, and he says, I've been sitting here letting the old people talk because I thought y'all was smart, but I realize age isn't wisdom. Y'all got to stop judging Job by his pain and start judging Job by his fruit, because sometimes God lets bad things happen to shape a man for the road ahead. That's the young man says that, and he says, but Job, I want to defend you so bad, brother, but the problem's this. You went from being an advocate of God to now someone's blaming God. You let those who came against you in God's name change your opinion about God. Woo! And then God answers. And God has the longest dialogue in the entire Bible in the book of Job. And it's great. And I'm going to summarize this to let you know because it's a huge dialogue. God starts out like this. Job, have you forgot who I am? Do I not control the wind, the wave, the sea? Do I not control everything? Do you think I'm so small, Job, I can't be there with you? Job, you want to talk to me? Man up, gird your loins, and face me like you've been saying. And here's the nutshell of what God says. Job, you've been telling everybody about you and me. You've been talking about me to everybody else, about how you can't. You've talked to everybody but me, Job. Here's the problem, Job. You think because there's suffering in your life, I'm not with you. You think I'm only with you when life is good, Job. You just don't see me in the pain. I'm in the ash with you, Job. I'm in the pain with you, Job. I'm the one in this moment when you're sitting here broken, when all the spiritual world is hoping you'll fall. I'm the one staking my reputation on you, saying, that's my boy. I believe in you, Job. Get back up, Job. I won't forsake you. And somehow you forgot you could speak to me, and you speak about me, Job. You've listened to everybody but me, Job. Now, Job, get back up. Get it back together. And let's do this. What? Job's like, you're right. Dead serious, right? Dead serious. All you gotta do is you just gotta look at Job 38, man. You're right. You're right. You good. All you gotta do is go to Job 42. You're right. I want you to see this. Here's what God says. Job, if you walk with me, I'll pick you back up and things will be better than they ever were in the beginning. I'm proud of you, Job. I'm proud of you. Job messed up, man. But God didn't judge him on he messed up. He judged him on the amount of pressure and the amount of thorns that was poking him. And so he cut through those thorns and said, come to me, Job. Trust me, Job. And he looks at Job's friends and he's like, you know what? Y'all make some sacrifices, some offerings, and if Job prays for you, I'll forgive you. Hey, Job, buddy, so sorry about them things we said. And Job's integrity is he's like, then I'll pray for you. And God blessed him back with more than he ever had. We don't see what heaven's got happening. We think this moment of horrendous pain is forever. And we think God's not with us because we're hurting, but we forget God knows pain and he's with us in the pain more than we could ever imagine. I want you to get this, Ephesians chapter 6. The Apostle Paul, who understood thorns in his life from Satan. I want you to understand this. Put on the full armor of God so that you may take your stand against the devil's schemes. Hold up one finger. There's stand one time right there. This is what God's asking you to do. He's just wanting you to get back up. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly realms. Let me share something with you. Job's enemies are not his friends. Job's enemies are not flesh and blood. His enemy is the man that unhitched the horse, that exposed what's deep inside of us. But we can choose how to react when the horse is off the leash. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand, because our battle is not human beings. Our battle is something that comes from a spiritual realm. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, not pieces of it, not some of it, not just the parts you think you need, but he has to be Lord of all of it, so that when the day of evil comes, not if it comes, it's coming, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything, after you've done, has anybody in here ever been in a place where you feel like I ain't got nothing left? I've done everything. I've done all I know to do. I've exhausted all my thoughts. I've exhausted every resource in front of me. God, I don't know what to do. God, I'm done. I'm ready to tap out. Here's what the armor of God is for. When you've done everything, to stand. Would y'all stand up with me right now? There are some thorns that they seem like they're going to be here forever. They seem like we'll never get past them, but the problem is those thorns are so distracting, they get us focused on them and not on him. And I know life's not fair. I know life's hard, but maybe, just maybe, the reason you've walked through so much is because God sees so much in you. Maybe you are proving to the forces of hell what humans are really like, why God even made us, why God would send his son for us, why God calls us his children. Maybe his reputation is on you, and how you walk this is going to be eternity shaking because he believes in you. But here's the thing. He's with you. Don't talk to others about him. Talk to him. Ask questions. Cry. Get upset. Break some things. But do it with your Father, not with your accusers. Are you with me? And most importantly, keep getting back up. You're standing right now. You know what that tells me? No matter how hard it's been, somehow you still got the strength to stand. And we made it. We've survived it. And now we go help others. We don't kick them while they're down. We don't go after them and start trying to create narratives. We just need to keep standing and looking at people saying, come on, your daddy will work it out. Let's go. Today, maybe you're in a place where it's like, I don't even know if I can stand anymore. I don't even know if I got strength. Your Father wants to meet you right in the ash, in the brokenness, in the pain. And he's made a way, and we want to be here. If you need someone to pray for you and encourage you, we're not going to put on a show and put ash and sackcloth on so we can look like the perfect people. We're just going to pray with you right here, right now, whatever you're going through. If you need someone to walk with you, maybe there is something in your life that's bringing thorns. We've done it too. We've been there. We'll walk through it with you. We got you. If today you need to be in a place where you need to start trusting your Father and talking to him, come on, we want to walk you into that. We want to help you. But if you need to be cleansed, you need to be washed, you need to be forgiven, you need to let the old you die so that you can be born something new into Jesus Christ. If you want to be baptized in his Son so the Spirit of the living God is in you and you're not listening to scary boogeymen that come and creep you, that's the beginning of your journey. And today we can start uprooting weeds so other people walking with us don't have to get scraped by the same pain. But it's our choice, man. Don't waste your pain. Use it. Thank you.